In this physics question about forces, we have two blocks connected by a string, and they have the same mass but two different coefficients of friction. So what we want to determine is two different things: the tension, the force of tension in the string, and the magnitude of the frictional force between these boxes. So in order to find the force of friction, we multiply the coefficient of friction times the normal force. Well, the coefficient of friction is given, and we would calculate that for the two boxes individually. So for the force of static friction for box A is the coefficient of static friction of box A times the normal force, so that would be 0.45, and the coefficient of friction has no units. So it would be 0.45 times the normal force, which, if we look at this free body diagram, the normal force is equal to the mass times the gravity, because it's just straight up and down. It's on a flat surface, there's no incline. So the normal force is equal to the mass times the gravity. And so we would multiply, so to determine the normal force, we just multiply mass times the gravity. And we know both of those things. So our total frictional force for box A is 8.83 newtons. Our frictional force for box B is the same thing. It's the coefficient of friction for box B, which is a different number, but the normal force is the same because it's the same mass and the same amount of gravity. So, and kilograms here cancels out, so we're left with newtons again. So for this one, after you plug the values in, we get 5.886 newtons. Well, to get the total force, or the total magnitude of the frictional force, we add these two values for the two boxes together, and that gives us a value of 14.72 newtons. Now, for the tension, we realize that it tells us in the question scenario that we start to pull on box B, and we want to know the tension in the string right at the instant that the boxes begin to slide. So we realize that the tension is going to be equal to whenever box A begins to slide. And so that would be the 8.83 newtons, because it's going to be this larger value because the force of the friction is larger.